Welcome. You are listening to the postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the GCP where the vibes are free at 779 Bank Street. Tickets still available for the remaining 2 games on this homestand to take the shuttle to and from the CTC. Find those at glebecentralpub.com. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Laleem's Martian. Senators fall in overtime 3-2 to the Dallas Stars coming up in a few minutes. We're actually going to head in front of the GCP, our guy Chase, first ever live Sens game. But Pillsy, as excited as I am about that, I'm pretty fired up as we're starting this postcast because we don't talk about the refs on this show, but I knew from the moment that the 2 players skated into the dot for overtime that it was going to be a mess. There was a 15 to 20 second wait where the guys were going, oh, no, we're not throwing him out. We're not doing anything. And that gong show continued with a pair of missed calls.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, obviously you'd like the Sens to find their own ways to get it done here, but the refs certainly didn't give the Sens any favors. There was a couple missed calls, in my opinion. The start of that OT with, was it Robertson or Hintz lined up with Timmy, just messing around, and Pinto's like, we're just going to let that happen? Is anyone seeing this? And I guess it was fine. And then, yeah, Pinto, that should have been a holding call on Sagan. Like his stick, before they even get to the offensive zone, Sagan's all tied up in him. And then finally Pinto breaks free and Sagan's stick is still in his midsection there. And Pinto still manages to get a decent opportunity, but I can see why he was upset. There was no call there. And then, I mean, Rantanen grabbing Ullmark's arm earlier. Like there was just so many opportunities where it's like, how are we letting this slide?
But thankfully, we don't talk about the refs on this show because who wants to hear that? Yeah. But if we did, I'd say the Senators were taking on 6 Dallas Stars and 2 referees on the ice tonight. I felt like it was a complete joke. Even the third period power play, second one that they got where Ridley Gregg's stick. I know, Martian, you disagree with this. If you want, we can get into it. But Ridley Gregg's just absorbing a hit, and it felt like the follow-through from Bichsel took him right into the stick. It's just, anyways, neither here nor there. Senators get outshot, outplayed after they went up 2-0 in this game. And Martian, your boots on the ground. What'd you see from the rich people's seats?
Yeah, I saw a lot from there, boys. It was a fun game to be at, to be honest. The atmosphere was really good, and the start from the Sens in this one was fantastic, right? Maybe one of the best first periods of the season so far from this team. What a hot start, scoring him almost immediately out of the gates here, and then getting a second one, going into the first intermission, up 2-0. That's a beautiful sight, right? Like against a team like Dallas, Ullmark stood on his head, I feel like, all night, and it was a fun game to be at. A lot of action all around. A lot of great plays from Ottawa. I think a lot of guys you could look at for standouts here later on in the show. And it's just unfortunate that they kind of let Dallas slowly but surely get back into this one, because with the start that they had, I really thought they had a good grasp on this one. But at the same time, a good point, boys. You got to collect those points. You got to get yourselves up there. So it's unfortunate they didn't get the win, but you know, it is what it is. It was a hard-fought game, I thought, from the Sens all around.
This game really changed for me once Chabot had to leave, because that's where it really seemed like the Sens weren't able to keep up that possession. You're right, Martian. Most of the first period, they were buzzing. They were holding on to the puck. They weren't giving Dallas many opportunities. But then you go down to 5 defensemen, and that really changes things, especially when it's your number 2 defenseman in Thomas Chabot. And the left side of this decor, it doesn't have the depth. I mean, overall, obviously, not just the 6 guys, but in the franchise overall, the left side getting hurt. You really feel that Sabrango waiver wire pickup when we see how they're going to make up for that. Hopefully, Chabot's not out long term and it doesn't end up being a big deal at all. But if you have 6 defensemen throughout the rest of this game and Tyler Clevin doesn't have to play what I believe is a career high in ice time, probably looks a lot different.
LOSP stats department can confirm that this is 3 minutes more than Tyler Clevin had previously played. His high last season was 22:40, and he's up over 25 minutes tonight. And that decision by the coaches, this isn't a Tyler Clevin decision. He worked his bag off tonight playing in an elevated role but there's no world where he should be having one, let alone two shifts in overtime before your offensive puck-moving defenseman, Jordan Spence, gets one. And to make matters worse, Clevin got caught up the ice on his first shift, and they almost scored on a 2-on-1. Linus Ullmark had to have a nifty backhand poke check to stop Mikko Rantanen from tapping it in backdoor. So to put him back out on the ice, to me, was malpractice there. I thought that was a terrible decision, and that Jordan Spence could have helped them move the puck offensively, because the Sens were buzzing. Multiple opportunities in overtime. Timmy could have ended it on what would have been an absolutely gorgeous goal. Hits the inside of the post. It was back and forth. It wasn't one of those quick first rush overtime game winners. And Pillsy, you got your wish. Linus Ullmark was diving around looking as athletic as he could there before the winner went in.
Yeah, definitely was moving a lot more. And there was that opportunity earlier in the game where Zub lost his helmet. Ullmark was scrambling, and he was able to make a save there too. So I definitely liked Linus Ullmark's game tonight. He was arguably the biggest reason why the Sens were able to at least get this game to overtime. And I thought really none of those goals were his fault. Like, you look at a Mikko Rantanen breakaway, like, what are you going to do there? A Jason Robertson, absolute laser, top shelf, and then a scramble play in overtime. I don't know, guys. Would you say this is Ullmark's best game of the season? I think so.
I thought he played incredible, Pillsy.
Yeah.
There was a few moments like that, the 2-pad stack where he lifted the one leg up and made that save on that one. That was an incredible save. He looked a little bit more acrobatic tonight, which is what we were hoping for out of him, right? Because I think a lot of people have been talking about him. Like, it looks like sometimes his battery is dying out there in the net, and he's just relying on his positioning a little bit too much and not making reactionary saves. But you can't say the same thing tonight. That's for sure. He was all over it. I think he was dialed in tonight. He looked really, really good. And that's what you want from him. We need to get him back in that groove consistently so he can continue to be the goaltender that we acquired here at $8.5 million a year. I mean, this guy, he is one of those guys who you need to be at the top of his game to give yourself a chance to win. And he did his job tonight. He is one of those guys for sure tonight that was, he was on his A game. I felt like it's unfortunate that they weren't able to get the 2 points for him because, like you said, Pillsy, I think that was probably the best game we've seen from him this season so far. So hopefully he can keep that going, because if he plays like that every night, holy, look out, because he was making those saves that he wasn't supposed to make. And guys, like some of those ones, I'm telling you, like he was getting the crowd engaged. Like usually, with Ullmark, sometimes he's, like I said, he's a little quiet in the net. He's not moving around too much, and it's a little bit of a boring goaltender style. And tonight he was bringing people out of their seats with some of the acrobatic saves, and goalie friendly show. We love that stuff, baby. So it's good to see that from Linus.
Yeah, Ullmark sharp in goal for the Ottawa Senators tonight. And it was also, I think, a sign of leadership too, right? Like, he knows Thomas Chabot's out. He knows that it's now more like, you talk about Clevin having to step up into a larger role. Like, Linus has to take that on his shoulders too, and he did tonight. And I thought he was fantastic in goal as the Senators were outshot 35-29. So that's a 32 save performance from Linus Ullmark. And get this, boys, it's the most saves he's made in a game this season. 30 was the previous high in the shootout win over the Seattle Kraken. So really strong from Linus Ullmark in goal. We'll get to more Sens Central standouts a little later on in this one. The goal scorers, it started early again, not even in the first 10, but the first minute of the game. It was Drake Batherson finishing off a beautiful pass from Jake Sanderson, and he put that one upstairs in a hurry, and the Sens didn't stop there. It was then an offensive shift for the ages this season, where it felt like they were going to score eventually. And how good did that feel, you think, for Nick Jensen to be the one to bury it?
I mean, Ross, what a goal from Nick Jensen, too, to jump into that play the way he did. He made a nice little play at the point, got it down. I think it was it Amadio down low there a little bit? And then he jumped right in. I saw him scoot down there. I'm like, oh, my gosh. And he gets that puck, and I was calling him Nikolai Jensen because he looked like a Russian sniper sneaking down like that and hunting for points and goals. And he made no mistake on that play. It was a beautiful little finish from Nick Jensen, and you could tell that felt good for him too.
Oh yeah,
the celebration was a little bit of a release, I felt like, for Nicky Jensen, and boy, oh boy, that was a nice finish, and it got the crowd really engaged too, man. Like that was definitely the high point. I feel like for like the Sens at that time of the game where they were like, oh man, we got this thing. Like we're buzzing here. Yeah, it was a beautiful finish. And Nicky Jensen, I've been giving him a bit of a hard time, I feel like, over the last few weeks. And there's a reason he's in there. He's a smart player, and he was able to capitalize on that one. So beautiful goal from Nicky Jensen.
And he was moving his feet tonight. I thought he was skating really well, jumping into the offense and making great decisions with the puck. So that was nice to see as well. The Sens now are 6-1-4 in their last 11 games. That's pretty good. That's pretty good without Brady Tkachuk, right? Like the way that you get there changes from night to night. You don't want to give up a 2-goal lead, but there's been nights where Ottawa's down 2-0. And then they find a way to claw back and get a point. They're not all built the same, but when you take the outside looking in view, like they're stacking points, and that's really been good to see. And they're going to have to continue that Thursday against Boston, who's going to be coming to town on an 8-game win streak. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Again, that's 2 straight wins over Toronto. They've beaten Ottawa on this stretch. Their last loss was getting pumped 7-2 by the Ottawa Senators. Yep. And since then, they've said, no, we don't like losing anymore. Well, maybe the horrors of the CTC and being back in the barn that happened to them we can get a little mojo back, because I would love nothing more than a regulation win. These overtimes, I like overtime. 3-on-3 is so exciting when it's not your team. I'm not a fan of watching the Senators play 3-on-3. If I could clip just the parts where Tim Stützle has the puck on his dick, I would watch only overtime. But I don't like the 2-on-1 where you just know there's a grade A chance coming against you. No, I don't like that one bit.
Oh man, I love the Sens 3-on-3. Now, obviously, when Tyler Kleven is your second defenseman, it's not an ideal situation, but I know it hasn't gone their way for the most. Well, no, it's been kind of a split in overtime. But when they get past regulation, I feel good about this team's chances in OT and in the shootout. So, and I mean, 3-on-3 hockey is exciting. Is it stressful, like you mentioned? Absolutely. But hey, that's hockey, baby.
I was begging for a shootout there, boys. Like at that point, like when there was like 2 minutes left in overtime, I'm like, just get to the shootout, boys. I think we can get there. We can take them in a shootout. We got some great snipers, some really skilled guys who can finish the job here. But man, that's just the way it's gonna go. That is hockey, Pilsy. But actually, we talk about 3-on-3 overtime. I'm kind of over it with the way it's being played. With all the over and back and like getting it back in your own zone. Like
they got to do something about that. You shouldn't be able to bring it back past your own blue line. I think that at the very least should be where they draw the line.
Boys, do you remember when it first started, the 3-on-3 overtime? It was just a straight chaos, like, just absolute gunfight. Like it was back and forth until somebody scored. And that's where it's at its best. But these coaches, man, they're killing it. They're starting to, they've got it all figured out, and they've got all these little systems for 3-on-3, and I don't like it. And I agree with you, Ross. I really don't like the decision to have Kleven out there. I think me and probably 4 other guys in the box here tonight were saying, what the hell is Tyler Kleven doing on the ice here, right? Like, you got Jordan Spence. He's got to be out there. He's a point-per-game defenseman. Great motor on the guy, great speed, and great puck moving ability. And that's the kind of guy you want out there in overtime. And Kleven, I think probably the decision there is maybe just hang back and be a defender. But like you said, he got caught up the ice right away. And you see that happen. It's like, well, what's the point of having him out there if that's what's going to happen? So
Martian, if you want a defensive defenseman out there, they have one of the best in the league, Artem Zub. Why isn't he out there? Like, Kleven wouldn't even be the next choice after Jordan Spence.
And I'm not going to knock Tyler Kleven skating, because I think he is a really good skater for a big man. But I mean, Zub's just as quick as he is, I think, right back there. And And lately, this year, I think there even Zub has shown offensive capability, so he might be a better choice as well. But
might.
Yeah, exactly, Ross. But like, I'm agreeing with you, man. I'm agreeing with you.
Not only that, like, look, it was a bouncing puck. It wasn't all his fault, but like Clevin was like the guy who gave the puck away at the offensive blue line for Rantanen's goal to open the scoring. So it's not like you're rewarding a player who had a particularly fantastic game.
It's like they got him too excited too. Like he got out there on 3-on-3. He's like, I'm gonna go and score a goal now, or I'm gonna go and jump into this play.
It's not his it's not his fault at all. Like it's a coaching decision that to me is completely inexcusable. There's no reason that you could convince me that having him out there ahead of Jordan Spence and Artem Zub, and I might even throw Nick Jensen the way Jensen was playing tonight.
I think you can easily make the argument for Jensen.
He would be my fifth choice of the 5 defensemen that were on the Ottawa Senators blue line tonight. And I love the game that Tyler Clevin brings. It's just not for overtime.
Yeah,
Sens lose 3-2.
And especially because you already had to overplay him as only the second left shot defenseman for most of the game. And you don't play overtime to not lose. Like, you don't put your defensive defenseman out there in overtime. You play overtime to try and win. Get Spence out there. Give him those extra minutes. He's been hot. So that's a tough one for sure.
Real tough one. Senators, though, still get a point. They've gotten at least a point in 6 straight games. It hasn't always been pretty, but the Senators have started the worst month of the year without a regulation loss in the first 5 games. The Sens are 2-0-3 in November with 2 more home games coming before a 7-game road trip. The shots on goal tonight favored Dallas 35-29. Sens power play. Oh man.
Wow.
Again, another 0. 0 for 2. Dallas goes 1 for 3. The Robertson goal that tied this game in the third period was on the power play. 2 of the best face-off teams in the league. Dallas is 6th, and they won the battle tonight against the league's top team, 52-48%. The hits in this game, 24-15 in favor of Dallas. Ottawa with 12 blocks to Dallas's 10, and the ice was pretty even at 5-on-5 in terms of the expected goals, 50.4% leaning in Dallas's favor. We got a big-time boots on the ground report coming up next. Our guy Chase, lifelong Ottawa Senators fan, but got to be in the rink tonight for the first time. We'll chat with Chase, who's outside the GCP, right after this. You're listening to the Postcast presented by Locked On Senators.
There I am. Today's postcast is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine those bets for a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is offering new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our very good friends over at the Glebe Central Pub, the GCP, where the vibes are free. They got something going on every night. Tomorrow, if you're looking for plans, how about open mic night every Wednesday evening at the Glebe Central Pub? They've also got awesome food. I'm a big wing guy, so I just dive into those. The nachos, top notch, great to order for the table. Be a hero and order the nachos for the table. Hey, don't worry, I got this one, boys. And then the next round of beers start flowing. The GCP, they've also got the Send Shuttle, just $18 round trip to and from the CTC. We take it every time we're in Ottawa. We love how Sue gets you to the game and back, all for the low price of $18. You can buy your tickets online, GlebeCentralPub.com, and let them know that Locked On Senator sent you. And open mic night, you don't want to be the one getting up there. Don't worry, they got live music every Saturday night, no cover ever. So grab a chair, grab a drink, and enjoy the time at the GCP. You can find them at 779 Bank Street, just down the street from Lansdowne. The GCP, where the vibes are free. Welcome back to the postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Levitan Martian. Senators lose tonight 3-2 against the Dallas Stars, and now we are heading to the GCP where we're going to catch up with Chase. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right, guys. How are you?
Fantastic. So how long have you been in Ottawa for now? Did you fly in today?
So my day started at 4 a.m. at the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We flew into Chicago O'Hare and then our connection was into Syracuse, New York. And we got here around 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So we've been here since 4 o'clock, about 6.5 hours.
Well, Syracuse isn't necessarily a stone's throw away from Ottawa. So what, did you get a car from there?
Yeah, we got a rental car and it's about 3 hours and some change.
What a day.
Yeah, it's literally been go until this moment. Go until now.
So take me through the feeling as you walk down the tunnel into the bowl of the CTC for the first time, and maybe the backstory first of how long you've been a Senators fan and leading up to that moment.
So I've been a Senators fan since I was about 5 or 6 years old. I started playing hockey at that age, and at the time, Minnesota would have been the closest team, but they didn't have a team at the time, and so number 6 was my number. For some reason, I became a Wade Redden fan. I think, at the time, this would have been in the early 2000s. Ottawa would have been a pretty decent, consistently good team at the time, right before they won the President's Trophy in 2003. And so then it just stuck with me. And I became a Senators fan. And here I am today, almost 25, 26 years later, and my first experience at the CTC.
Well, we're glad you finally made it, Chase. What was your first impression of the CTC? I know it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but the rink itself is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's surreal to be like in a stadium where like I'm so used to going to games where like you're the only guy, right? You're the only Sens fan. Like there's 7 other people that are Sens fans, and so being there was like, oh, everybody here is like cheered for the Sens, like super exciting. So it was awesome. When Batherson scored in the first minute, like it literally brought a tear to my eye. Like hearing the goal horn, like I literally almost cried. It was the greatest thing.
So what about walking in? Like where were you sitting in the rink and that initial reaction when you walked in and saw the ice?
So we were 300 level for the first game. We're actually going to be sitting right on the glass, first row against Boston on Thursday. But we chose 300 level.
That's unreal. For Lyndon Slewage game too.
Oh, really? I didn't know he was doing the anthem on Thursday. That fires me up. That'll be awesome. So yeah, we're first row on Thursday, but today we were 300 level, and I was actually surprised at how close we still feel at the 300 level. It's pretty sweet.
Well, that's because where you usually go in Minnesota, they're 100 levels, like 70 rows deep. So the 300 level, you're touching the rafters already.
This is true. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you get there in time for the Batherson goal, first minute of the game. You must have said, hey, the hockey god sent me a blowout after the second one.
I honestly, I was like, this game could be 4-5, 6-1. Like, I had the feeling that this could be like, this is awesome. Like, first game, like, but then, yeah, too good to be true, I guess.
Give us a Send Central standout. We'll send you out on that and maybe check in with you later in the week, too.
For sure, yeah. It's got to be Olmark. I mean, it's so that we lost, but it's got to be Linus. It has to be Linus. As many times this season as the guys, everyone. I feel like everyone's been so hard on him. Like, he played a phenomenal. There's so many. I mean, this game could have been, as dominant as the Sens were in the first few periods. This game easily the Sens could have lost in regulation. So I got to give it to Linus on it.
Yeah, we love that. Chase, man, go enjoy a few cold ones at the GCP. We appreciate you stopping by, man. This is a great story, and we're going to keep track of your trip here to your first time in the nation's capital. So enjoy the evening. Thanks for checking in, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great, guys. Hey, appreciate you guys. Have a good one, and hopefully we'll talk after Thursday or Saturday's game.
Let's go. There he is, Chase, and he is the man who named Levi Merilainen in the Finnish firewall, so maybe he'll get to see Merilainen in action in one of the next couple of games. I believe he's right on the money there with Linus Ullmark, definitely deserving of a Send Central standout, but we got more on the other side. You're listening to the postcast presented by Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by a new sponsor, Drip Drop. Guys, when I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of those leading brands using science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I like using Drip Drop as a part of my daily routine. Those packets are so convenient. Put one in your water in the morning or before the gym or in that midday slump. And the flavor is awesome. My go-to, sugar-free strawberry lemonade, and it's my secret weapon for staying sharp and energized through long days or through Sens overtime or shootout games. We've seen a lot of those. You got to stay hydrated. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now. Keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop.
Welcome back to the postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and The Martian. You can follow all our social media channels below for up-to-the-minute updates. Up-to-the-minute updates, people say that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People were asking when we threw to that first break, is Pillsy producing tonight's show?
I was gone there for a second, but I popped right back. That would be the least of my worries as a producer. I wouldn't even have mentioned that because I'd have stats going on in the background. I'd mute myself while bringing up a tweet. So that's not a big deal here.
Yeah, I saw in the chat, lots of people are pointing out, looks like Locked On Senators mentioned it, and maybe that's actually it. No, Pillsy, you nail those ad reads, dude. You're crushing it with that. And we need the Senators to just keep it rolling, all right? Like, it sucks you lose in overtime, but this is not event cast, I don't think, other than the decision in overtime that we already covered extensively, where you just simply cannot have Tyler Clevin taking multiple shifts. And we love Tyler Clevin on this show, not the spot for him unless you're down a man. Now, I mentioned the penalty I didn't think was one on Ridley Gregg, but that was 2 offensive zone penalties for Ridley Gregg in the third period. Pillsy, is this a issue, or is it something you're going to keep an eye on in the next couple of games, the discipline of this team?
No, the discipline's not an issue. We talked about it on today's episode, Ross. The Ottawa Senators have only taken 9 penalties in November. I believe that's tied for the least amount of penalties so far this month. Now, when we looked at that, they played a couple less games than some teams, but it's not like they've been out of control, and these penalties haven't been brutal. The Ridley Gregg one was a bit of a weird one because he gets hit into the boards, and as he gets hit, his arm is kind of against the glass, and that forces his hand and stick to go up. Martian, you can give your side of it, but I didn't think it was a malicious, poor play by Gregg.
No, but I do think that Ridley could have done a better job of just controlling his own stick in that situation. Ridley Gregg's not a guy, and when we talk about the 9 penalties they've taken, I think 5 of them have probably been between him and Nick Cousins, like those two guys together. Like, without looking, I don't know what that number is, but those 2 guys are the guys who, if you're gonna see an Ottawa Senators penalty, you're gonna expect it to be those 2 guys. So when you're Ridley Gregg and you're in that situation, you got to know that even if your stick gets a little bit high like that, you're never gonna get the benefit of the doubt from the referees. Like Ridley Gregg. He's only been in the league for a few years now, but he's got that reputation of he's going to take a little pound of flesh when he can. And I do truly believe, and this is coming from a Sens fan, right? Like I'm trying to look at this in an objective way. He lets his stick come up. He doesn't try not to high stick the guy.
I don't know on the and maybe you didn't see the replay.
I saw the replay. That's what made me think this. I'm like,
yeah, okay.
Get your stick down. He's a strong enough guy where he can control his own twig and not allow it to rise up into the face of the opposing player on that play. I think that's just a bit of a of course it could have been a mistake, but he needs to be able to control his own twig there and make sure that his stick doesn't hit the guy in the face, because as soon as that happens, and I know it was a bit of a weird situation where the refs didn't call it initially and they end up going and having this chat. And in my head, I'm going like, they're going to end up calling this just because of who the player is. Right. And I don't know if it was the linesman who ended up chiming in there because he's kind of standing on the blue line. And they saw it. Somebody saw it. One of those guys in the group, they didn't call it initially, but one of the guys who got grouped together there said, listen, he let his stick come up and he hit him right in the face. And I mean, the tape doesn't lie. That whoever the defenseman was, or the Dallas player was, I can't remember. Bichelle. It hit him in the face, and he went down and he sold it as hard as he could. That's for sure. I mean, he lied on the ice for a good couple seconds there, making sure everybody knew he did get hit in the face. Yeah, exactly, Ross. Right? Like, hold your face, both knees down, but I just feel like Ridley, like, you got that reputation. You got to be a little bit more disciplined than that. And so when you say the discipline's not an issue, I would mostly agree with you. But when you're Nick Cousins or Ridley Gregg, those offensive zone infractions are going to cost you. Luckily, that one didn't ending up in the back of Ottawa's net. The first one did. And that was a legitimate penalty. That was a tripping penalty. Like, I mean, you see the replay on that one, Pilsy. What do you think of that one? I mean, he tripped the guy. So you can't be going to the box twice in the third period and expect that your team's just going to kill it off every single time. I hate to lay a little bit of blame on Ridley there, but that's just the way it is. That's what happened. That's the way it shook out. So yeah. I know you guys disagree with probably what I'm saying there, and it is a hockey play, and it could have gone either way for sure, but in his situation, being who he is, I think that you need to be a little bit more in control.
Yeah, and Bichelle is 6'7", 240. I've never seen somebody go down that quickly. Soft. That big. That was ridiculous. What a bunch of theater that was. Minor penalty leaders for the Ottawa Senators: 9 for Ridley Gregg, 7 for Nick Cousins. Shane Pinto has 6 of them, and then nobody else has more than 4. So that's how it shakes out. And obviously some of those are coincidental penalties where they're not putting you shorthanded. But tonight it cost the Ottawa Senators. The Dallas Stars, one of the best power plays in the National Hockey League. 1 for 3 was enough for them. And really, I mean, it's a game-tying goal, right? You're up a goal in the third period. You can't be taking those penalties that cost you at the end of the day. But the Senators have 1 regulation loss in their last 11 games. So it's really tough to kind of get on them. But the other side of that is, if you're just looking wins versus losses, it's below 500 right now. They'd be 8 and 9. But thankfully, the NHL system rewards overtime, and the Senators are taking advantage of that with an 8-5-4 record. They're now 7-3-4 without Brady Tkachuk. Pilsy, your Sen Central standout tonight.
Well, Chase took all marks, so I'm going to go with Tim Stützle. I know he didn't have any points in this game, but oh my God, he hits the post in overtime on a great play where he uses his dynamic speed to get around his man. It would have been so nice if he finished it off there, but there was also some other really good opportunities and plays by Tim Stützle. Near the end of the first period, Timmy far side heads up to Batherson for a backdoor tap, but Ottinger got a pad on it. And then Timmy set up Pinto all alone, and Pinto tried to go low on Ottinger too and couldn't beat him down low. So he was setting guys up. He hits the post in overtime. I really liked his game. How did Timmy do in the dot? And 53.8% in the dot. So pretty good night for Timmy Superstar.
Yeah, what's with him in the faceoff dot this year, boys? Like,
he's figured it out.
Obviously worked on it in the summer, because it's ridiculous how well he's improved on the faceoff circle. Yeah, I thought Tim was great too. Pilsy, Ross, I've said this a million times, boys. Like, when you're in the building, his electricity is even more palpable. Like, he is so sick to watch when you're live in person. You see his speed, you see his dynamic abilities, and his skill on display every single night in the CTC, man. Price of admission player, absolutely, every time. So Pilsy, I couldn't agree more. He was so fun to watch tonight, man, live in the building. I think Chase, if you asked Chase, like, his next guy up would have been Timmy for sure, because when you're there and you see it down up close, it's just like, it's incredible to watch. He's so cool.
He's so unreal. Who are you going with?
23 years old, by the way. I'm gonna go with a guy who again, another guy I give a hard time to, and I think
Ridley Gregg.
I don't give Ridley a hard time ever. I just thought tonight maybe there was a couple of miscues. Dude, I'm gonna go with Fabian Zetterlund tonight. I thought he was a dog out there, and it might have something to do with my cousin Kyle getting in my ear. And he was at the game with me tonight, and this is the first time he and I have really disagreed on a player, because usually we agree quite a bit. He's a Zetterlund guy, and before the game, he was talking about how much he appreciates Zetterlund's game and how he hunts down pucks and how he's great on the back check, and he plays a little bit more of a defensive style. And I was paying more attention to him tonight because I was there, and we had that conversation. And I think that tonight he displayed a lot of the things that he does well outside of apparently he's supposed to be a goal scorer. He hasn't done a lot of that, but everything else was really good, I thought, tonight from Zetterlund. He gets his stick in the right lanes. He does hunt down guys on the back check. He gets in the way. He's a little bit physical, and I thought he had a good 14 minutes and 20 seconds on the ice tonight. I know he's not getting that same opportunity he used to get. He doesn't really jive, I don't think, with those top six guys as well, those unpredictable guys like Stützle to play with. And I just thought Zetterlund had a good game tonight. I think watching in the building, I don't know if it translated for everybody who watched on the TV. The chat can let us know. But for me, I thought that Zetterlund looked like a really strong third line player. So I'm going to go with Fabian Zetterlund tonight.
Yeah, and he drew a big penalty tonight too in this game.
And some of the dishes he was making too, boys. I think he made a lot of good plays that didn't end up getting finished. Just like plays in the neutral zone, long stretch passes as well. I thought Fabian Zetterlund just looked good tonight to me. So I got to give credit where it's due. Just because I say I'm out on a guy doesn't mean I want him not to succeed. And I'm still out on Zetterlund as far as what was advertised to us coming in, and then getting that nice contract extension as well. But I will say he had a good game tonight. So I'm going to go with Fabian Zetterlund here.
Yeah, I like that. I could go a couple directions here. Obviously, there's been a few guys taken already, but maybe I'll just hammer off some honorable mentions then, because I feel like we might be at the limit of full-on standouts with a lot.
Well, you better say Hayden Hodgson if you're going to go honorable mentions.
No, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to say Michael Amadio, who I thought was fantastic tonight. The goal streak ends at 4, but the point
he let Jensen score that one, though.
It was very nice of him.
Yeah.
Good teammate. Maybe he saw the Cy Young race and he's like, you know what? Some assists would be nice. He's now got 8 points in his last 10 games, boys. But the play that solidified him being a mention tonight on the show is Rantanen was bringing the puck over the blue line with speed, hunting in the third period late. And he had a centering pass, and all of a sudden it was on Amadio's stick and it was out of the zone. This guy, the way he can just any type of puck that comes his way, he's able to just corral it with possession and make it next play. So I like that. Obviously, we talked about Nick Jensen. I thought this was his best performance in quite some time, beyond the goal, just the skating, the gap control, decision-making, all that sort of thing. So those two, I think, both deserve some mention here, as well as the guy who I don't think I called him out, but we said Jake Sanderson, locked on player. He's got to be good tonight. I thought he was much, much better. That Miro Heiskanen is outrageous at the other end. He had some shutdown plays where you're just, wow. And I remember us talking to Jake Sanderson. That video is available on YouTube. And he told us Heiskanen's one of the players that he watches. So I bet you there's a sense of that. They only play each other twice a year where he's like, man, that's pretty cool. And he elevated his game tonight. I thought Sanderson was excellent. He had 1 assist, but just his overall game was good. So those are our Sen Central standouts following a 3-2 loss against the Dallas Stars. The games are coming fast and furious. Thursday against Boston, Saturday against the LA Kings, and then we'll be able to catch our breath here. But 2-0-3, Pillsy, as the Senators' record shows in November. Any final thoughts on today's postcast?
Yeah, final thoughts for me is we're going to have to wait and see on an update on Thomas Chabot. Obviously, you hope that that's not a serious injury and he gets back sooner than later. But I would like to mention, I'm looking at Belleville Senators lineup from their last game. Lassie Thompson has been playing on the left side. So if they're looking for someone, I would guess that he's probably their first call-up. So keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, and hopefully they don't have to make a decision, because Thomas Chabot did try to skate it off. Our good friend Brennan over at Everyday Sens, he posted what he believes is the play, and he kind of just got crunched at the bench and leaned backwards. So maybe a soft tissue back. We're not doctors on this show. Pillsy famously, us not so famously. But I do think that it might be shorter term than longer term. Maybe that's the hashtag hope, but that's what
he actually came out and did a little twirl at one point.
Start of the second.
to test it out. So that's a good sign. I feel like usually when a guy has, I'm assuming it's kind of like mid or lower body type situation. So he did come and test it out. And usually when a guy does that, it's not super serious, right? Like obviously he's able to come. It's more of a feel thing. So hopefully he wakes up tomorrow and is maybe just a little bit stiff and he can recover quick enough. He might miss a game, but I don't think it'll be too much longer than that. Hopefully.
Let's get to the chat. Appreciate almost 200 citizens joining us right after the Senators fall to Dallas. Spanish Flea, this must have been when we were talking about Ridley Gregg. Rids is a national treasure, full stop. He has a postcard moment with the empty net slap shot. So certainly a
bobblehead. It's a bobblehead moment, Rob.
Hero. Randy, the cheeseburger bandit. Take it and go. Linus was huge, needs Shabby back, but impressed by the point collection while Brady is out. Again, 7, 3, and 4. So that's math guy. Points in 11 out of 14 games without Brady Tkachuk. So they are stringing those together. And Jace Anderson, Jake, dude, do your post-game stretch. Have your smoothie. Get ready for bed. You don't need to be in the chat. You can listen on the way to the rink tomorrow morning. May the refs always have a small rock in their skates and shoes. This is definitely the game this season. I don't know if there's been any really where I have been upset. This might be the first one where I'm like, the refs really were a part of the story of the game. Am I missing any obvious ones?
Martian?
No, I agree with you, Ross. I don't think there's ever been like this season so far has been the reffing's been okay. And
well, Pilsy seemed to lead you into that. Like he's got an answer. Is there one?
Well, Martian's a big track the refs guy. There's a couple guys that when Martian sees they're reffing the game, he lets everybody know before. That's why I let it off to the expert.
True. The expert. He's our ref expert on the show.
Yeah, it was Eric Furlat is the one I hate. That's the ref I hate the most.
Isn't Nicholson bad too?
Yeah, Kendrick Nicholson's the other one.
He's got first name basis with the refs.
Yeah, I don't know these guys.
You got their numbers too, Marshy?
Kendrick Nicholson wears 59. No, no, yeah, they actually Furlat ref the Montreal game. So and he lets that crowd get to him, I feel like too. So I think that was maybe the only other one you could point to. And he also grew up just outside Quebec, or outside Montreal. So I bet he grew up a Habs fan. So Kendrick Nicholson, any game he's reffing, you got to watch out. But tonight, I don't know who the guys were out there tonight. I could probably pull it up for you pretty quick, but they were brutal.
So what do you need when you look into the refs? Because it seems like you're a birthplace.
Yeah, that matters.
And composure.
It's always like Markham or like some little like bum town in Quebec that like no one's heard of. That's like just outside of Montreal. But like you look for those and then they hate the Sens.
Yeah. You don't think, all refs come from the GTA or the greater Montreal
area. You ever heard of a Sens, like a ref that grew up a Sens fan? I don't think that's ever been a thing. It's never happened. I don't think they ever I don't think the NHL has a single one.
No.
We got the
play-by-play boys, though.
A lot of American refs who actually, I find the American refs ref the Sens the best because the Sens have a lot of American players. So I think that there's a little bit of like, hey, boys, I got you. Countrymen, we're good.
Nice.
I'll take care of you.
We need some neutral country refs, like maybe, I don't know, a bunch of Aussies.
If they can skate, like break them out. I'm on board with that. We've got an Aussie on our team. Let's not forget Jordan Spence was born in Australia, so that might play into our hands.
Here. Well, something needs to be done about the officiating, and something else needs to be done about the decision making in overtime to have Jordan Spence stapled to the bench. But those are conversations that will continue over the next little while here. But Sens fans, final thoughts from me. You're banking points, and Dallas is a great team. Sure, you had your way with them the last 8 years in Ottawa, 8-0. Well, now you're 8-0-1. So you grabbed a point, you move on to Boston, and if you can snap Boston's 7-game win streak and with that improve to 3-0-3 in November, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's what's on the line on Thursday night. We know Lyndon Slewage will be belting that anthem out, ready to rock and roll. We'll see what the decision is in goal, whether they go back to Ullmark after his best performance of the season, but he also was the busiest he's been this season. So do they say, hey, this is a good opportunity to get Levy in against a team he's already played and already beaten this season? Those are all questions that we'll be following along. Same with the health of Thomas Chabot. Marshy, you got one more thought?
Just if you want to know the names of the refs tonight, it was Kyle Raymond in number 10. He was the one who was brutal. And then Riley Brace, number 49 referee. He's actually
former Habs prospect, no?
Fitz Harbor, Ontario, former Habs prospect.
Wow. He's actually, I grew up playing against him. He's my age. He played Ottawa Valley Titans with a few other guys who played pro.
Couldn't quite make it, eh? So he had to throw the stripes on.
Throw the stripes on. And I think he refed his first game was an Ottawa-Montreal game. I was like, this guy was a prospect for the Habs like 5 years ago.
There he was property of that team. That's a bunch of
Yeah, Kevin wants Filipino refs. Filipinos are known as being like very caring, very nice people. I think that would be.
I know. I think you got to go straight to Switzerland, boys. I think that's
True.
That to me in my head. That's
Neutral.
I think you just hire just straight Swiss guys and just get them in there.
That's actually
so
a good call.
funny.
I like
that's a great call. Hey, get the point, take it, and run. Get back on the practice ice, and then let's get another game day on Thursday. We cannot wait to chat more about this and a whole lot more tomorrow on Locked On Senators. Make sure to subscribe everywhere you get your podcast. Let's get some GSGs in the chat for The Martian and Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan, and you've been listening to the postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.